Alrighty, well, today I want to welcome Peter Williams. He's a psychic medium here on the Gold Coast and a business owner of Soul Point Holistics. Peter first started his journey into spirituality at the age of 14 and has gone on to become a psychic medium that has worked in China and Hong Kong, Japan, and here on the Gold Coast as well. Peter runs events with mediums called the Three Mediums, isn't it?
Three Medium Spirit, that's this event coming up. Yeah,
that's right.
Different event, yes. Have spirit in there somewhere.
That's right. Go have spirit.
Yes.
And he also runs a radio station, which is a very new adventure, which is called Soul Point Radio. But we're going to get on with some questions all around spirituality and a little bit of myth busting. So, Peter, what drew you to psychic mediumship?
That's a very good question, which I really don't know the full answer to. Let's just say I think I put it down to a calling. Realistically, it was a hobby or an interest. 14-year-old, what interests you? What makes you drawn to baseball? You want to play baseball? I don't know, but you just go, I like the idea of that. And I've always had a calling or a liking to the occult. Let's just put it that way. But that's what's kind of drawn me in, and I've just kind of worked with it ever since, and at my own time, at my own pace.
That's cool. I really appreciate your honesty, because not all the time do you have the answer to that one specific question. So you're not sure always what draws you to what you do. No. You just follow that pathway.
Well, it is, and I think that's a big thing. Just prior we're talking about passions and stuff like that, and I strongly believe that it's those natural likings, and they develop into hobbies, and then it's the stuff that we actually should be spending more time on, but we don't. But it's like, so I think that's how it started for me at 14, and then I just really liked it and I couldn't drop it. Great thing is I didn't have to, go and pay to do a class or to do something like that. So I think that was a bit of an advantage, but also a disadvantage because I didn't have anybody else to share it with. I've managed to stick it out, and I like where I'm heading and where I am, so it's good.
Yeah, and you've been fortunate to work with some really amazing people and have done your psychic mediumship, advanced mediumship skills with Lisa Williams in 2012, and I see that you also do mediumship readings for her as well.
Yes, that was talk about being put on the spot, but it's like anything. So I think in life in general, we always need to grow or expand or challenge ourselves. And let's just say the Lisa Williams course was a pressure cooker. It was like, we've kind of done a lot of that in a very short period of time. And I think one of the things was I remember because we were actually doing speed readings at that point, and everybody had to pair up. And then she asked, "Has anybody not got a partner?" I was right at the back corner, and she's on the front. I put my hand up. She goes, "All right, Peter, you're going to be reading for me." And I was like, heart in mouth, pumping, heart rate has gone from, a normal regular heartbeat to 180 beats per minute. I think I was sweating and everything else, but it worked out really well, and it pushed me, it challenged me, and it gave me a big sense of, it's real, or something, it's just there, but
And also to work with such wonderful people as well, it's quite a humbling experience as well too.
Well, it is, she's a good teacher, but the friends, the lifelong friends that I've made out of that, because of like mine and having people to share the journey with. Yeah. Like I said, very different to when I started. I really had to keep that to myself, as you can imagine, 14-year-old, especially boy, all that kind of stuff going. So I think I was astute enough and smart enough to keep it under wraps. But now it's like I've got the privilege of sharing the journey with a lot of wonderful people.
That's really, really great. So through your journey, because you've been doing it for quite so many years now, what would be some of the myths that you feel that you would like to dispel for every person that's out there?
Around it, one is just remember we're normal. we're regular people. We have our own things going on. But it's like, so we do our best that we can, but it's like little things like, with spirit, they are around us, but it's one of those things of they do contact us, and things like that. And I think, it's an amazing thing, what I learned, especially over the last few years, is there is actually mechanics to this. There's actually a process, there is mechanics to it. And I think that really, maybe it's just me because I like a logical aspect, but it's once you get the mechanics, all of a sudden it just clicks and you can get an understanding of it, and it's not so much of this mystic or mythical process. But once you've got those mechanics or those blueprints, you go, oh, that's how it works. And it's like, I have to admit, there was one point where I'm going, oh, that's not so much exciting as it used to be. But I think that's because I've gone from probably a recipient point of view to becoming a practitioner.
Yeah.
But that was a big transition for me when I realised that. But yeah, I understand that there is actually mechanics, and I think also too that people, like, everybody has these abilities. I prefer to call them abilities over gifts because I believe we've all got them. And I think the other thing too is, like, if you tap into them or use them, you're going to use them in your way.
Yes.
It's unfortunately what's out there is you see people who use these abilities are very much readers or out there on stage or doing this. So that's what people see. That's what people get used to, and it gets in their head.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that. They're first and foremost there for you, number one, to help you with your journey and maybe help with a few nice friends along the way if they're open to it. But it's just understanding yourself and where you sit with it first, I think, first and foremost.
Yeah, and I really like the approach to that. You're just a regular, everyday person. I think that's a really great myth to bust for everyone. Like, as we discussed a moment ago, you don't have to be hippied or stereotyped to do this kind of work. You're just a regular person that looks exactly the same like anyone else walking down the street.
Exactly right. It's not like we have to wear this big T-shirt that says I'm a psychic medium on back so people can be aware of who I am. But it's very, like, the little things that I'll just point out here, going a little off the tangent, you have to forgive me, but always, you just never know who you're going to come in contact with, and you never know who's around or who's listening and stuff like that. So that's why I think it's very important just to be yourself, regardless of what ability or what you're doing. If you're true to yourself and being yourself, then you have nothing to stress or worry about. But you never know who's you're going to come in contact with, and if you're coming from that very authentic self, like me, going, hey, look. As I was saying, walked down the video store and I was like, oh, so what do you do? I'm a psychic. I didn't put any. It's like, oh, guess what? I'm a psychic on it. It's like, I see dead people. But it's it's like, but she's like, oh, really? You have me on? It's like, no. It's like, like, oh, okay, there you go. And it's like, why not? Oh, I thought you'd have more rings or I'd have to do this. No. So this next time you're sitting on the bus or you're sitting on an airplane, you'll be sitting, if you sit next to me, you'll be sitting next to a psychic medium. But you could be sitting next to one or someone here to say this. We all have it in our own way. We don't have to flaunt it, don't have to put a title on it. It's just being yourself and understanding it. So.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the factual part that you just, so long as you come from an authentic space, then you're fulfilling a beautiful purpose of helping others.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this element, this work is all about, is how we get to help others.
Yes,
in their
very
journey.
much so. It's about connecting with people and empowering people. It's inspiring, empowering, educating.
Yes.
They're my three big ones. Yep.
Yeah. So have who have been some of your greatest influences within your industry that have helped you progress forward or learn from being great teachers?
Well, I suppose first and foremost, it's funny when this question came up, and I was like, believe it or not, a lady, she's my first mentor, and her name's Ellie, or Eleanor was probably Elena. And 18, 19 is when I first met her, and then because I moved away, didn't have a lot to do with it. Believe it or not, she literally just sent me a Facebook message for the first time in 10 years yesterday.
Wow.
And I was like, talk about influential people. I was like, wow, like my mentors, my original mentors come back and she goes, oh, it's just so nice, it's amazing to see what you've done with yourself, because she knew me before, getting to this point of being very confident and being able to read people and doing events and so forth. So she was being absolutely fundamental. But I think for her, and the reason why she's so fundamental is that she saw me, here I am, 18-year-old boy, she goes, you should come and have a talk to me. And I remember I went back because I took my friend for a reading, and my friend came out absolutely bawling her eyes out, going, what have I done this to her? I made her bawl her eyes out on her birthday, like her birthday, and I'm like, what have I done? And then so I gone in for a reading, and she goes, oh, you should come back and see me. So literally a week later I walked in, she goes, I didn't mean you had to come back for a reading. And she said, just, you come over to my place, I have a gathering and whatever else. Having that place to go to, having these people to connect with, and people of a like mind, that was first and foremost, I think, super important from what I, especially from my age, at the age I was. But it doesn't stop at any age. Like, it's I think you can agree with that. You need to get connected with these people.
That's that's right. Having that support network where you can talk openly and honestly about what you're thinking and what you're feeling, bounce ideas off one another, and feel really supported and nurtured through that process.
And really, like, just go, oh, I'm not alone.
Yes.
Or more importantly, I'm not a freak. It's
yes.
okay. Yeah. So you kind of go through those motions. So she was absolutely pivotal in allowing me to kind of explore and just without any like, you know, it was a free for all. You know, no judgments. Like, you can talk about this, you can try that. It's like, oh, we'll touch on everything and anything. It was wonderful, wonderful.
And being 18, that would have been so imperative, especially as you said, being a young guy.
Yeah, young lad. Yeah.
In something that wasn't really spoken about,
yep.
as far as spirituality wasn't an open forum as much as what it is today,
yep.
to be able to have a place that you can just go and explore everything, especially when you don't know what's there, you have probably some misconceptions about certain things, but it's almost like going to a playground and being able to play with
very much so,
every equipment there, and find out what you like, what you don't, how it works, why it works,
yep.
and just to be able to have that place to be able to experiment without any judgment would have been, I can see why she's such a catalyst in your...
Well, that set the precedence for me with what I do with people.
Yes.
Because without having, I suppose, a open door or someone with open arms and an open heart to go, hey, just come here, and it's like, you meet some different people. I'm not going to say you're going to get along with everybody. Yeah. Absolutely not. But that's life in humans, and that's also
yes.
learning where you stand and what you believe in. But she was pivotal. But after that, I literally went to Japan. That was very important because I learned I could be myself. Because I realised in Japan that my spiritual side, my abilities, and the way I wanted to read or connect with people, do tarot readings and stuff like that, it was it was a bigger side to me than I could have possibly imagined. And let's just say, no guidance counsellor, just for people who listen, no guidance counsellor when you're 14, 15 says, you should become a psychic medium when you're older. so let's just get that myth out of the road, shall we? So, but it allowed me to explore that because I was away from family and friends. I had a complete clean slate, and all of a sudden I could have people around me who knew this side of myself. That was pivotal. So, having that growth. Being in Japan, that said, it was a bit of a blackout zone in terms of spiritual gifts and things, like language barrier there as well. But, none of the John Edwards stuff or Jason Prague or Tony Stockwell, Lisa Williams, none of that stuff ever made it that way.
Right.
And you guys, so we're still talking early 2000s here, so, internet was still kind of up and running, all that kind of stuff, and with YouTube, it wasn't quite there yet. But then I came back and a reader that I used to see, he helped me and connected me to Lisa Williams, and then I've just, now that I'm back, I've just been kind of feeling out in different places. But my first mentor when I was 18, and Lisa Williams, actually, I've had contact with her and I had the privilege of working with her and under her. So it's been good. So they've probably been the most pivotal at this point. So
that's wonderful, and also a really nice way to set a standard for how you help other people, because you've seen how pivotal it's been. So you reinvest that same amazement in others by teaching them how you've been taught.
Well, it is. It's one of those things. It's like, it's that whole, I suppose, biblical saying, it's like, treat others how you want to be treated.
Yes.
I enjoyed how that felt. I know that's what I needed, so I want to offer that to people. And that's why, even with, I know, and one of my main missions is, I was 14, I had nowhere to turn to, had no one to talk to, I had to really deal with this and work this out myself. But then, that's why I want to help kids.
Yes.
Because it's hard.
Yes.
Who do I talk to? My parents believe me. My teachers think I'm crazy. So, so that comes out.
So, what age group do you start working with people?
Oh, look, I don't put it as let's work this, let's do this. It's literally if they feel the need, if it's a whole, I leave that up to spirit, realistically. If they're in contact with me or someone it's like, I feel that I can possibly help out there, I will. Sometimes it's just a matter of sitting down once and then it's okay, because it's like, you're normal. There's nothing wrong with you. What you're doing is completely, there's nothing taboo about it. But it's just working with them or whatever. But other people that come in, it happens at any time.
Yeah.
So, but children, I just feel a little bit more sensitive.
Yes.
And they have a little bit more attachment to it. So therefore, I feel like it's more important to help them, because that psychologically impairs them once they get older.
And you would be totally open to the emotional state of what it's like to feel isolated with being at that at 14?
Yep. And first and foremost, I think I think it's like, especially for boys,
Yes.
it's harder because as much as we like to think we are, in the 21st century in 2015, boys still are being taught or have this thing, I need to be a boy, I need to be macho, I need to stay in control of things, and this is complete utter nonsense. Unfortunately, that old stereotype, that old culture still exists today, and that's then I feel like I can help a lot of males. How often do young boys get to speak to other males who are open to this side of things, who can explain these things and say, guess what? I see them too.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really big thing for me. So,
So because you become a mentor, someone that they can see and hear, and almost, if they live locally, touch, they can see that you're a regular, everyday person, and you can connect with them because you've emotionally been in the same place they are.
Yeah, and even it's sometimes they can come along we went to the event, there's a lot of people, it's like, there is staying, talking to dead people, it's okay. So people are hoping to hear it, it's okay. So it's just helping them as well, as much as I can. Cool.
So being a psychic medium, do you do any daily rituals that help you with your gift, or?
Oh, now you're asking a question. The cat amongst the pigeons here. Yes, and no. First and foremost, I believe rituals are really important when you're developing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to sound, out there, but what it is I'm now at a point where, like I said, the mechanics and understanding how it works. I'm now at a point where I'm so comfortable with it that I've now allowed myself to drop some of those routines. Now, for example, that would be protection.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone says, you need to protect yourself. I made that routine. But then all of a sudden I realised that's my intention.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I wake up, I know I'm protected.
It's already set.
So I don't need to actually make that. But rituals are important, or making those routines are important to set that up, because it's built my mind up to go, it's there.
Yeah.
We don't need to think about this anymore. The same thing is switching off.
Yeah.
Closing, or winding up and closing down. For some reason, I always like to open up.
Yeah.
I think I always still, every reading or every connection, I still do that.
Yep.
So I still have that development, opening myself up. Closing down, not so much. I actually just literally close my eyes, take a breath and say thank you.
Yeah.
That's my closing down ritual. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just being thankful and being grateful that, I've had that connection of being able to help that person. So so there is yes, and some there is no, but like meditations. But the one thing is, I think is big for a lot of people who are looking to get into this or develop their abilities, is learn to give time to self.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's through meditation or whether it's just sitting on the beach or going for a walk, whatever it is, it's just having
downtime.
It's downtime and self time, and that's a ritual that I'm now having to get back in balance with myself.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to that.
Yeah, because it's very easy to get into, not so much a habit, but there's such a desire and purpose within yourself to want to share with people all the time that sometimes you can put your own self on a back burner, and it's really imperative. Like you just said, my journey at the moment is about creating balance, where I put myself as a priority as well as my own quality time that I take for myself, like yourself, like your husband,
father, brother,
all of those things that you've got to have a moment where you just are no one. You're just you doing whatever that just allows you to just be in that space, so that you can just not so much reconnect, but just sort of like be, all right, I'm ready to rock again.
Yeah, and it's so important. So, that's why I say, and it is about getting that balance, but it's like, it doesn't mean you have to sit there for an hour and go, but it's just like, it was, and for me the other day, it was just literally lay on the beach in the sun. Like, I didn't have to go swimming, just literally have to lay there in the sun, just absorb that, and it's like, wow, it's just nice to switch off and have a bit of self-time. So I think that's a ritual that
getting back to self.
Well, getting back to self, I think that's something that you should start as early as possible and never ever lose it. That's the one thing that I would suggest from my lessons from this is don't give that up. It's very easy, life's very busy, as we know, but try to keep it there. Keep those routines. It's okay to be selfish.
Yeah, and it's all about that perception, because sometimes it's not a matter of saying no to others, it's just a matter of being able to say yes to yourself.
Very much so. I think you've hit the nail on the head there.
So therefore it doesn't so much sit within the mind as it's been a selfish act to do something for yourself. You're just saying yes to you like you would anyone else, and making it be okay. That it's all right to just have a bit of time out. But thank you, I really appreciate your honesty, because I think that's really important that people are aware of that. So what drives you to share your gift?
From an early age, it was just, I think it was just new, it was open, it was there, there was so much to learn, so that was my original drive. But over time, and especially getting to this point where I've now been booted back here by Spirit from, I literally got forced to leave Japan in a way. But I can see why now, but as you do. But now, I just realise it's connecting people. Like I said, it's inspiring, empowering, educating. As much as I do readings and stuff like that, but I always find that it's like I'm here to help you. It's not even. I was actually telling you about. It's like, are they really readings? Like, I just find that they're more than that, but there's no word for it.
It's like soul conversations.
It is, but you say that, then all people go, "Oh, what's that?" So it's like, do I really want to have that? It's like, it's like that sounds real hippie, or so we get a bit of that stereotype. But you know what? I believe your work will always speak for itself. But it's just you have that tension. But my drive is just connecting with people, and I think also I'm very much on a similar page with yourself, and just showing people. It's like, it's here, and I believe that this side of ourselves is a very important side of ourselves, and we shouldn't ignore it, and we just have to work with it.
Yes, thank you. So what would be your main message or advice that you would want to share with anyone that's wanting to go down the road of being a psychic medium?
Probably one is you've got to find how you connect to people. Everybody has, as we're talking about, we all have an ability in terms of spirit and connecting. And so I want to say, like, in terms of that, psychic medium-wise, everybody has their way of reading. Hence, I was just talking about before. It's like, it's more than a reading, it's what I do. But, some people like the tarot cards, some people like, they might like the pendulums or the psychometry, whatever else. I think the big thing is just find where you're comfortable, work with that, and find how you connect with people. Then that's what will always serve you the greatest purpose. It's not how you're particularly reading, it's how you're connecting with the people and how you're helping them. If you come from that space of understanding how you're helping them, or how, wow, because there is nothing more rewarding than a client saying, "Thank you so much for that." And you go, "I really didn't do much, but you've just helped them to unlock something within themselves." That's a powerful connection. That's what it's about, because it's about empowering those people. And when they leave a session, they should have a very clear mind and feel uplifted, not more confused than when they came in. But so it's just finding that. But what happens is, because now one good thing is that we have a lot of mentors or a lot of people that we can look up to and say, "Oh, I like this style, Johnny Woods, Tony Stockwell, blah blah blah." But then you've got to go, well, but you've got to realise at the end of the day, you're not them.
Yes.
Okay? You're not that person. You can learn things from them. You can take styles or little things from it, but you're not that person.
Package all up with that information and that knowledge you have and deliver it in your style of who you are, because that's what people are coming for originally. They're coming to see you. And that's what makes it beautiful. So, just finishing up and just sharing a little bit more knowledge about your Soul Point Radio. What is Soul Point Radio? How does it work? And how do people connect in with this wonderful new adventure that you're doing?
Yes, Soul Point Radio. Soul Point Radio was the original concept. It's not really radio. It's actually live, interactive kind of TV radio. So it's a webinar, pretty much. As a good friend of mine, she kind of said, "Oh, it's like Skype on steroids." I'm like, well, you can say it like that. It pretty much is. But what it is, it allows people to come in and interact in a chat room, meet people like mind. We're bringing in practitioners and people who are passionate about a topic and talking about a whole array of topics. Whether it's about health, whether it's about spirituality, gifts, stuff like that. But the great thing I love about it is that the people that come and join us literally have control of where it goes. You can ask the questions, you can get into that, and that kind of controls where it goes. So the people who are interacting there, you have that chance to get your say or have a point. And so it's no different to having a gathering in a lounge room and having a conversation. The only thing is you don't have to leave your lounge room
to do that.
Or your computer office, wherever it may be. But it's like you can be there and interact, and it's great because it's just it's on Spreecast. So it's www.spreecast.com. You just go in there, look for Salt Point Radio. Free to join. You can befriend the people who you meet on there as well, just like Facebook. It's pretty straightforward.
Cool.
So it's another social media format, but you can go back and if you've missed one or you couldn't make it, you can go back and view it at any time.
Wonderful.
So it's just giving people access to information.
Yeah, and be able to access a lot of great practitioners that are out there and be able to ask them really open questions that they want advice with.
Exactly right. So we had the first one was about mediumship. The second one's about psychic. The next one we've got about iridology, from the naturopath point of view. Then we've got clinical hypnotherapy. So it's this whole array of things. So I really enjoy. I'm passionate about it. Just wanting to get out there, and the other thing too is you can see people live. Like you're seeing us talking live. As an audience member, if you have a real pertinent question, or maybe someone can have a chat to you about something, you can join us on screen live as well. So you're there being very present and interactive. Not just listening in the background.
Yes.
So be warned, if you come along, be prepared to be on camera. Make sure you got your camera hair on in place, and whatever else, not your Jimmy Jams. But it's just that place where you can come and I like to say, come and hang out with us.
Yeah. And also sort of go back to what we were saying before about that myth busting. You can get to openly ask any question that you want to, and not feel foolish because it's in a warm environment where any question is open for that up for that discussion.
Yeah, and it is honestly it's very straightforward, but I think it's a great platform. Yeah, continuing with it for a while, so we'll see how we go.
Wonderful. And you said you go on to www.spree.com and then look
Spreecast.
Spreecast.
Yeah, well, you can just Google Spreecast because there's one out there, but and then you just have to sign up, and it's pretty straightforward.
And they just go and then look up Soul Point.
Yeah, Soul Point Radio. Yep, and you'll find the ones there. The other thing too is you can book your place in amongst that episode, if you want to call it that, because we're only limited to 30 spots, so it keeps it nice and intimate as well.
Oh, that's good.
So you RSVP. You have to RSVP if you want to book your spot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Well, thank you very much for coming along today. It's been so great to get some insight into the journey of a psychic medium.
My pleasure.
Dispel some myths and also talk about passions and purpose. So thank you very much for today. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And Peter will be having an event for 3 mediums and spirit later on. So you can always go on to www.peterwilliamsmedium.com and go on and have a look at any events that will be coming up. So thanks guys, and feel free to get in contact with Peter. Thanks. So I'll do my last little